I like the idea that if I'm going to move from like the picking stuff to like my wrist doesn't need to be bothered. Nothing really changes except what my analogy is. If you can try and be a Swiss Army knife and that different attachments come out depending on which technique you've chosen to use. But if the rest of your playing position remains the same, then that gives you more freedom to switch at will without having to kind of turn yourself off and on again, without having to reboot anything. It's just like, okay, these fingers come out, now I can hybrid pick. Now I can tap. Now I can pick again. But as much as possible, you know, keep things just sounding familiar and feeling familiar. The one thing that would change if I'm going from, for instance, that kind of alternate picking on one string thing to, I'll back my volume down a bit. Those kind of things there, people always seem fascinated by that because they think it's difficult. And I always have to explain to people, number one, it's not that difficult. The secret is to relax during the fast stuff, and if anything, to tense up for the loud big note at the end. And the other thing I would add is never, ever do that at an actual funk gig, because it will be your last funk gig with that band. That's not what you're supposed to do. Let the hi-hat do that stuff. But just for the sake of being able to do something that sounds amusing, the thing that changes in your picking hand between that and the chordal thing is your wrist comes out. And that way it seems like you can do basically the same movement, but because your wrist has moved further away from the plane of the strings, you can now describe a wider arc with the pick and hit more of the string.